Hey, what's up? So I was on LinkedIn the other day and I got a question about I know how to do Google Ads and now I'm trying to figure out how to get a job. And so I kind of just made a quick framework on what I did from like actually getting certifications and all that stuff and learning Google Ads and how I got my first job and what I did to basically stand out. So let's hop into this framework that I created. So basically, after you learn the basic skills of Google Ads, I recommend creating a project. And so what does a project look like? Either it could be you on a Loom video like this, showing how you broke down or built out a campaign in a specific niche or industry, where there's like plumbing, dentistry, any industry that you have an interest in, just try it out. Another thing is that you can do is create a landing page design. Show your skills outside of Google Ads, whether it's like building a landing page and actually showing like the different elements, the headlines, the call to actions, the testimonials. Just explain how you built out a landing page and how you plan on using it within the campaign build out that you created also. And the main thing that I do recommend that I did was the test run. And so, what is the test run? The test run is basically when you ask friends and family that have a business to promote their business online using Google Ads. Now, with this idea, you may have to put some money of your own up front, or you can move over to the local businesses. You can ask local businesses whether if you want to, if you can run their ads for free in exchange of a testimonial, review, what have you. And you could use their ad budget as leverage and as an experience while you're learning Google Ads. Now, the free and probably the less risk effective is the Google Ads grant. You could also utilize the Google Ads grant by going to volunteer websites that basically allows you to work with nonprofits. I think one that I used when I was starting out was Catch a Fire, and with catchafire.com, or is it .org? I'm not really sure. Catchafire.org allows you to apply for like different nonprofit positions that's looking for maybe a Google Ad specialist or something like that. Let's see, let's try it out. So yeah, these nonprofits are looking for someone to do a Google Ad setup, which is really simple and easy. The only difference is it's way different than regular Google Ads versus how you would manage an account with the Google Ads grant. That's the only caveat. You may have to do some further research in that. Another website that I know that does the same is it's called Volunteer Match. All right, so this is Volunteer Match and it's roughly the same thing. You can just put in your location and find different organizations that's around your area. You don't even have to live in the same area, but majority of these roles are remote. So if I type in Google Ads here, there's usually some projects that are Google Ads based. I believe it's because I'm using my doggone location. So let me turn that off and then type in Google Ads. So you scroll down, you can see Google Ads Nonprofit for Google Ads Grant for Nonprofit, just different Google Ads projects that you can use to leverage your skills and just get a leg up. And so after you've done all these things right here, it's time for you to build out your resume. And so when you're building out your resume, you want your resume to be very Google Ads or search or paid search related specific. So you don't want your resume to talk about you worked at McDonald's or you used to work at Walmart. You want to leverage those skills that you got by creating your project and working with these nonprofits as experiences on your resume and slap that on there and use that as their work experience so that employers will know that you at least have some experience with Google Ads. Now, the next thing is networking on LinkedIn. So with LinkedIn, is probably the best bet, the best place to actually find a job in digital marketing or just a Google Ads or paid search position overall. And so when I say network, you want to be reaching out to HR staff, recruiters, and employees of the companies that you would like to work at. So if we head over to LinkedIn, I'm searching for a paid search role here, and I clicked on here on the PPC role at ISC Sales, and you can see if you scroll down, here's a recruiting manager here, and you could click onto their page and actually send them a message and say, hey, I'm looking to apply for this role. How do I do that? Or we could either send them a copy of a video that you made with your project, and that basically shows them that you have the actual skills to do that. Now let's talk about what it looks like if you were to reach out to someone that actually works at the company you're looking to apply for. So with the example here, the ISC Sales, we'll go to their company page on LinkedIn, and then from here, you select people, and let's see, let's select this here. And depending on the size of the company that's on LinkedIn, you can basically search through here and find either the owner, so here's the CEO, he can direct you to the HR personnel, or you'll actually see like the HR person on this list, and you can send and reach out to them as well. But as you can see here, Ricky is actually a digital strategist that works at ISC Sales. So you can shoot him a message and just have a quick conversation about what is the culture like there, whether if you like it or not, and what you need to do during the application phase, and what you should put on your resume to actually stand out. And depending how much rapport that you build with the Ricky, you can actually ask him to put in a referral for you, which will put your foot in the door, the top of the line from all the other candidates, and actually get an interview. So that's what networking on LinkedIn looks like when it comes to trying to get a job within the paid search or Google Ads role. And so now let's move over to applying for the job. So what does applying for the job looks like is basically tweaking your resume to match the job description. So if we go back here to the job description, let's go back. We can see all the essential duties and responsibilities, the qualifications, and actually the educational certifications needed for this position. Now you don't need all of them, but I would try to match my resume to speak to the majority of these bullet points here, and put that on my resume, edit and tweak it a little bit so that it matches the actual job description. And when you are submitted, it makes you look like you're a perfect fit, and also it makes your resume stand out when you submit the application. And the next strategy that I would try when it comes to applying for jobs is the one that I don't really recommend unless you have tons of experience on your resume, is the spray and pray method. And what that looks like, you just go on LinkedIn, Indeed, all these job board sites, and just submit your application to any and everyone that you deem fit as a job that you was looking for. So all the Google Ads positions, paid search positions, paid media positions, just shoot them out there. It doesn't matter. And I would say it worked for me at one point, but I know that sometimes when you do that and you end up with an invite for a interview, the job doesn't really match what you really want to do, especially if you don't read the job description. All right, so let's go to preparing for the interview. And so when you're preparing for an interview, you want to study interview questions. And if you did the networking on LinkedIn part correctly, so when you ask, let's say my guy Ricky, about what type of questions that they were asking in the interview, he could basically give you all those answers or some of the questions that they were asking in the interview phase. And so that will basically get you a step above or everyone else and allows you to be more prepared in the interview than everyone else that applied for the job and got an interview. Another thing is to study the company's website. So if you got the interview, you definitely want to study the company website and see what their mission is, their goal is, what their company culture looks like, and see if you can speak that language within the interview process, and you'll be a great fit for the job, especially if they see that you're a great fit for their team and staff and culture. And let's say questions to ask. So you really want to ask good questions during the interview. You don't want to just leave the interview without knowing anything, without asking anything. And so what I like to do is ask future pacing questions that makes it seem like once I'm hired, I'm looking to go above and beyond, which is what we should always do when we're hired. But those future pacing questions are mainly questions that are like, what are some of the tasks that I will be given if I were to go from A to Z and within the next 6 months? Or what is the next step in this role? Are there other levels up from just an entry level to a senior level? What does that look like? Just different questions like that, and asking I won't say personal questions, but asking the interviewer like, how did they like their time there since they've been employed at the company, and did it meet the expectations when they got hired? Those type of questions are basically real different questions that really no one really asks, but it makes you stand out. And the main thing that I would say to do is come up with stories. Come up with stories that if they were to ask you situational questions that pertain to Google Ads or PPC in general, you're able to rattle those questions off that relate to the industry or just in marketing in general. If you're able to come up with maybe 3 to 5 stories, and when they ask those situational questions, you can refer back to them when you need to, and it makes you seem more confident and more of like an expert in the field. And so now, that's how you prepare. So now let's jump into the interview. I really don't have much to say about this part, because if you did the preparing part, there's really not much needed to do during the interview except for ask the questions and tell the stories. And if you study the company website, you know how everything works at the company. But the main thing I would say is it's just a conversation. You guys are just talking and just make it more conversational, not to where like you feel like you're getting interviewed. So you want to be a person during this thing. And I would say also make sure you dress up shirt and tie. Majority of my interviews have been Zoom or something like that. Even if I'm at home, shirt and tie. And yes, I have just worn a shirt and tie and some gym shorts underneath. No one knows, but the top part is always the most presentable. So you definitely want to dress up. And then after the interview, you definitely want to send a follow-up thank you email, thanking the interview for their time, and also just sharing some points that you guys related to. Like, for example, if they went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, you definitely want to kind of mention that in the thank you interview. Like, I hope you enjoyed, or I'm glad we was able to share that moment about, what we liked about Mardi Gras in Louisiana. So that's one of the main things that I would say will make you stand out during the interview. And now let's move over to the last and final thing is the offer letter. And so once you've gone through, sometimes it's usually 3 rounds of interviews. If you've made it this far, you're a boss. So after the last and final round, and you finally got the offer letter, and they give you a salary, or they pitch you the salary that you applied for, you definitely want to do some market research if it doesn't align with the work that they're pitching to you within the job description. And so when you do market research, you want to see how much you should be making versus how much they pitch to you during the offering, the offer letter or the job offering stage. If it's not a good fit for you, you can always say no. It's not a bad thing, but at least you made it this far. But what I do recommend that you do for every job, especially if you want to get paid for what you're worth, is to negotiate your salary. Either if it's maybe a few hundred or a few $1,000s more, you definitely want to negotiate your salary to where it's a good fit for you and it makes sense for you financially. And so after you've done that part and you and the employer agree on the salary, or you're fine with the salary that they give you, then you definitely want to sign the papers and become a new employee at this ad agency that you applied for. And so that is it. That is all as far as what do you do after I've learned all my skills in paid search and it's time for me to find a job. So this is my framework. If you want to actually download this framework, I'll have a link about it down below in the description. And thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more or you want to learn more about different phases of this framework, I can go in more detail in other videos. Just let me know in the comments. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.